The primary challenge for the authorization of a long-term highway bill has been and will continue to be funding. The primary obstacle at this point is that we are spending more money out of the Highway Trust Fund than receipts are coming in. So in order to address that, we have to close a significant gap, and that is the primary challenge moving forward.
With the growing funding gap, John Horsley, Executive Director of the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, and Pete Ruane, President and CEO of the American Road and Transportation Builders Association, expressed a need for creative financing to support a new highway bill, since there is no support in Congress for raising the federal gas tax.
The bill that is passed in 2011, what we expect to see there to stretch existing dollars. We don't think there'll be new revenues, but to stretch existing dollars, we think the Congress will open the door wider to tolling the interstate and the use of public-private ventures, where you bring private, sometimes foreign capital, sometimes American capital, equity investment to transportation that has to be repaid through tolls.
There's also other user fee proposals out there that we've been pushing, ARTBA that is, a freight-related user fee to build capacity to add new corridors, especially for truck-only lanes. That is still in discussion. That's a possibility. I think the Congress is going to look very seriously at the whole idea of an infrastructure bank, and bonding proposals that have been talked about for some time now are still on the table. And while the Congress knows that it has to do something this year in the coming months, it's going to be very tough, but we're not ruling out any type of measure, although the one that's probably the least likely is more use of the general fund to support these programs.
While Horsley and Ruane believe Chairman Mica will continue to push for passage of a reauthorization of a new multi-year surface transportation bill, both are convinced it will be a more conservative version of former committee chairman Oberstar's $450 billion proposal. Yet Horsley and Ruane expressed a need for public and private partnership to support funding efforts.
Mr. Oberstar wanted a bill that would be funded somewhere in the range of $450 billion to $500 billion. Mr. Mica is taking the approach to live within the revenues that are flowing into the trust fund today, so that would be perhaps a program of $250 billion. So he wants to take a much more conservative stance in terms of the level of funding.
You're going to see much greater push for public-private partnerships as a means to both finance the program and use that as a procurement method. I do believe you'll see a lot stronger support for the PPP approach from Chairman Mica.
As a timeline, Horsley expects the House to pass a bill by Memorial Day, followed by passage of the Senate's version this summer, and final authorization by President Obama this fall.
We do not know whether the likely outcome here in the short term will be short-term extensions followed by a long-term bill, or a long-term extension to beyond the next presidential election, in order then to address some of the major challenges facing the passage of a highway bill, so that a highway authorization could be passed at that point.
The good news is Congressman Mica wants to speed things up. He knows it takes too long to build what the country needs built, and so he wants to help us speed up the federal process.
But I do think we will see that this year. We'll see one getting passed, and it will contain, probably not the level of funding that Chairman Oberstar was talking about, the 450 range. Much less than that, I think, is what we're going to see.
Well, we've heard the same thing that you've heard from Chairman Mica. We've met with Senator Boxer, who chairs the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. Both of them are talking spring, Memorial Day, that time frame. So if they hold true to what they're forecasting, we should see a bill emerge from the House by, say, May, from the Senate by midsummer, and hopefully signed into law by the President by the fall.